What are some of the fears that you think hold people back from investing in commercial real estate? Your fears are often indicators of your biggest opportunities. I enlisted in the Marine Corps because I was afraid of who I was becoming.
I borrowed the initial money to get the settlement done. Then I went ahead and closed the deal on the loan later, paid everybody off. 100% financing.
Wow.
How? What?
Yeah.
If you can't comfortably part with this money, this may not be a great investment vehicle for you.
More people would rather be the person in the casket at a funeral than to speak at that funeral.
Public speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Have a song that gets you jazzed. What would your song be?
Do you want to really taste it?
Yeah, I have no clue.
You're looking for people who are interested in passively investing.
For whatever reason, that term just annoys me.
Why?
Real estate's really hardly ever passive.
Right.
Unless, what would your song be?
I don't know, Rocky?
Amy, what do you say?
Thunderstruck, maybe.
AC/DC?
Yes.
I would have thought Adele.
A pump-up song?
You want to hear my pump up song?
Oh, you got it?
That is pretty catchy.
Our theme song. Salisbury, Maryland.
Salisbury, like the steak?
Yes.
Is that where it's from?
No.
Is that what it's named after?
No.
Okay. What's the origin of Salisbury before we move on so I don't keep thinking about it?
Or the online guru that promises passive income and a life of leisure and a glorious future destiny full of riches.
Right.
That guy drives me nuts.
Relationship building, that's Brent's superpower.
Dude, when your wife calls out your superpower in front of thousands of listeners,
Yeah.
that's that's a moment, man.
Captain one-on-one. Hey, if you're new to commercial real estate investing, you probably know the feeling. Brokers, underwriting, raising capital, where do you even begin? And that's why CRE Investor Coach exists, to give new and emerging investors a clear step-by-step path to closing their first deal. I believe in this program so much, I actually joined the team as an adjunct faculty member. That's how committed I am to helping more people get into the space right now. Whether you want to go at your own pace with on-demand training, launch your first investment with expert coaching, or scale with a mastermind of other ambitious investors, there's a roadmap here for you. Inside, you'll learn how to define your investor identity, analyze deals with confidence, talk to brokers like a pro, raise capital, and build a real acquisition pipeline without all the guesswork. This is about building a business that blesses your life, not breaks your spirit. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually get in the game, check out the link in the show notes and start your journey today. Learn, launch, and scale with CRE Investor Coach. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the Commercial Real Estate Investing Podcast where my brother Bo teaches me everything about commercial real estate investing. I'm an actor, comedian, the founder of TISB, all discs, no balls. And Bo is CCIM instructor, commercial real estate broker, investor, the founder of the Hearthstone Fund. And we have Brent and Amy Miller.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm super excited about this one. Anything you want to say?
Well, I've got a lot to say.
Yeah.
First of all, this is our first commercial real estate married couple.
Yes.
That we've had on the podcast. We've had a father and a daughter. We've had our parents and our sister on the podcast. Yep. We've had some other, but we've never had a husband and wife before. Let me tell you about Brent and Amy Miller.
Please do. Please do.
When I meant to look it up before I came in. It was either 2007 or 2018. The CCIM conference was in San Antonio, and I was testing for my designation. I was taking the comprehensive exam, and we were also being recruited by what was Sperry Van Ness at the time and SVN now. And I met a guy named Rick Tillman.
2007, 2008.
Yeah, I met this guy named Rick Tillman. Really cool. We were taking the comprehensive exam. I think we sat in the same table or we were next to each other and got to know each other a little bit. Well, this guy, Rick, ends up being Amy's brother, and I meet, Brent and Amy there like the next day or something. I'm like, these people are really nice, and he's with SVN, and we were thinking about coming on with SVN, which we ended up doing, and so I've known them for a long time, but then we did franchise with SVN in 2008, and got to know them a little better. And then I went with the Massimo group for a while.
Oh, yeah?
And Brent and Amy brought Rod and I out to do like a 2-day immersion of the Massimo stuff with his team.
Yeah.
And so we stay at their house. And this is, did I tell you the story before?
No, he alluded to it at lunch.
Well, here's what happened. I'm there, and I had just started one of these fad diets like
Atkins
or keto or something like that. But I was cutting
Weight
out
Watchers.
the carbs.
Oh, yeah.
For like 3 weeks pretty well. Now I'm in Brent and Amy's house, and Amy makes crab cakes. And they're so good. And like there was nothing she would have made that evening that I would have said no to. Like I'm not going to go in anybody's house and then be so hospitable and fix me dinner and stuff and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on this fad diet and I don't eat that." But half the night I was paying for it because all of a sudden I carbo loaded after like 3 weeks almost. Then the next morning, he's like, "You want to go paddle boarding?" Because they live on this kind of lake pond thing. And I'm like, I'm not going to say no, even though I've never done this before and I don't know what I'm getting into. So we go out on the lake and I figure out how not to fall over on this thing. And I figure out, but I'm real stiff. I'm trying to figure out my balance and stuff. And about 5 minutes into this, my shins light on fire.
Oof.
I mean, they light on fire. And I haven't, I've run cross country, track. I've been in the Marine Corps. I've run a half marathon. I've lifted weights at different times in my life. I've done a lot of things, but I've never had my shins light on fire like this. We're 5 minutes in, but I'm like, I'm not gonna not.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
I've got to like work through this, and so he keeps paddling out. He keeps paddling out. He keeps paddling out. My shins keep just lighting up hotter and hotter and hotter. And I'm not going to say a thing. I'm just going to deal with it. And I mean, he must go out. I don't know. It felt like 30 minutes or something. And at the same time, my gut starts hitting me again.
Oh, double whammy.
And I'm not going to say a thing. And I'm just praying at this point, please God, turn around. So at least I know we're not doubling the amount. So finally we turn around. And when we hit that dock, man, I don't know what I said, but I was like, dude, I've got to use the restroom. But I couldn't hardly run because my shins were on fire. And I was just trying to fake the whole thing,
Crab cakes.
You couldn't walk the next day.
I don't remember the next day, but I remember that morning, man. I think the next morning you were like, "Hey, you want to do that again?" Nope, I don't. That was a great experience.
I was impressed you did it.
I didn't.
I mean, even standing up, a lot of people can't do that.
I didn't know what I was getting into, and I was younger then. I mean, I was probably still in my 30s, but
yeah,
who knows?
Oh, crab cakes. Oh, crab cakes. Oh, I just imagine you trying to run to the bathroom. Going, crab cakes. Well, I had lunch with Brent shortly before this, about an hour before we got in here, which was amazing. And Brent was telling me about. So I ask, just a little 5-minute background. We got a couple here. So we got Amy and Brent. So we're going to hear from both of you. I'm curious as to, number one, what got you into commercial real estate? That's something we didn't talk about. But more than that is, where did you all meet? And is she doing commercial real estate because you're doing commercial real estate?
Or is it the other way around?
Yeah.
So where to start?
Yeah.
So I got into commercial real estate.
You're going to dig into this where we met thing.
Yeah.
I'm so intrigued.
Yeah, I'll tell the story.
Tell the short story.
Okay. So commercial real estate, I got into commercial real estate because right out of college, I met up with Henry Hanna, who was one of our top producers in our company. And he, recruited me to come work for his firm. And that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
Oh, I bet.
He's a mentor today to me and our entire team.
Wow.
Yeah, Henry's great.
And, I thank him every time I get a chance, because we'll have limited mentors throughout our career, and he's one of my top mentors, and I want to make sure that he knows it and how much we appreciate him and everything he does for the firm and as well as for me. But so he recruited me, and then that's really been my only career.
Wow.
Is commercial real estate. I've never done anything else. And I started off 36 years ago.
Wow.
Timmy was 2.
Yeah, I was 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then so the story with Amy and I, we were at a bar, nice club, and I saw her from across the bar, and I told my buddies, I said, I'm going to talk to this girl. And that was quite a few years ago as well. So I ran over, didn't have any game, didn't have an idea. As I'm walking over, she's got a cast on her leg. Went up to her and I said, do you want to dance? That was my line. So I'm walking over, do you want to dance? That's all I could come up with. And she laughed, and then we just sat there, and I said, I can really start to like this girl. She's, really nice, very attractive, and she's hanging out there with all the girlfriends, and we're at a place where it's a place where you probably don't want to, meet your future wife, because it's more of a bar kind of place. And I said, do you come here very often? No, I don't come here very often. Oh, that's very good. That's good. And, we kept going on. And I says, well, tell me, how did you break your leg? She goes, see those stairs over there? I'm like, okay. So then I'm back a little bit, but no, it was wonderful. I'm so glad that I was there in that moment to be able to meet her, and we have a wonderful relationship together, and she's a big part of our family as well as our firm. So
yeah,
love you, baby.
Aw, Amy, tell me about your intro into commercial real estate.
So after college, I went to graduate school, got an MBA, worked for a little bit, and then opened a restaurant, which was really small. So if you know anybody in the restaurant business, especially small restaurants, you do a little bit of everything. So I did the cooking, I did clean the toilets, and if somebody didn't show up, I was the one that had to show up. And so it was a lot of hours of work, a lot of time put into it. And at that time, Brent and I got married. We decided we were ready to have kids, which we were still older. I mean, we were, early 30s by then. And we realized that lifestyle was not conducive to having children and raising a family. So we sold the restaurant, and Brent had somebody that was kind of helping him with his real estate career at the time, like the property management part of it. And it just was a natural fit for me to just kind of help out with him.
I don't know if we've said this yet, because you were acting as the CFO.
Brent has always been the front person, the relationship builder. He can, salesperson. I'm more of the business person on the back end.
Yeah, like Breaking Bad. Yeah, you got Walter White doing all the business, and then you got Skyler, who's handling all the money.
Like doing all the money laundering. I think this is a bad example.
No laundering going on here.
The way you said that.
They've even managed property in Kentucky.
Our client was Bo Barron.
Aha. I see.
We bought a 48-unit apartment complex. I didn't want to have to figure out how to manage, we'd managed properties before, but it was always Dad's stuff.
Right.
And it was done kind of Dad's way, which is kind of however he wants, and it works for him, but it's not repeatable for me, And so I was trying to figure out how to kind of go from 0 to 60 as quickly as possible. Now that I was going to go from 12 units that I kind of just managed by myself, kind of like Dad did, to now we were going to have 60 units. And that just seemed like, how am I going to figure this out,
Right.
And so they did basically the back end property management for us.
Nice.
Kept the books and kept me from doing too much stupid.
Right.
And we were kind of the boots on the ground. So it was sort of a hybrid model, but it was cool that deal didn't work out tremendously well, but but I didn't have to worry about the property management part of it much.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you told me the story about your first investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably 20 in my early 20s and had probably $500 to my name. And I went to an auction, and it was a corner building, probably about 2,500 square feet. Great location. I'm bidding. All of a sudden, you're the winning bidder. And the bidder, the auctioneer came over to me and signed this paperwork, and we want to settle in 30 days. I said, can I have 60? Because I had no money. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just get myself into? So now I've got to go out and find the money. And at that time, you could get 100% financing. So the property was $95,000. I'd do it about $100,000 worth of improvements. It appraised for $260,000, $250,000. So I borrowed the initial money to get the settlement done. Then I went ahead and closed the deal on the loan. Later, paid everybody off. 100% financing.
Wow.
What made you show up as a 20-year-old or 22-year-old and think this was a good idea?
Yeah.
I loved investing, and part of my career, early in my career, was, watching what other people do. And I said, hey, this is where I want to be. So I got to start somewhere. Really didn't think it through.
No.
I didn't go into that auction thinking I'm going to be buying this property and what's my next step.
Right.
And I figured it out along the way. And then it all started there. And, now we're doing, multiple partnerships, syndications, one-off deals ourselves.
Yeah. That's crazy. And I don't know if how old were you all when you met? Because that was at 20. Were you all together at that time?
Yeah.
Oh, you were. You let him go to that?
It doesn't sound like he asked her.
We were dating, but not married.
Yeah, it was one of the scariest moments of my life, actually.
Yeah. What would happen? What was the consequence for not?
Lost a deposit.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're 20 years old, 100% financing, which apparently you can't do today.
No.
Back in the day, you could, they looked at the value and said the value is worth $260,000. What's 75 or 80% of that? We'll loan you that amount.
Yeah.
Well, that's the amount that I had to put in the property by buying it and doing the improvements.
Right.
And then I found a tenant in short order, so it worked out great. I owned that property. I think we just sold it, Amy, right? 3 years ago.
You owned it that long?
Owned it that long.
No, we probably sold that one maybe 10 years ago. Yeah.
Whoa, still. Wow.
We sold it for just under $400,000. That's a long period of time, but
I'm sure it was cash flow positive the entire time as well. So
yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We reaped the benefits of that, and then 1031 exchange into another deal.
Because what I'm familiar with is what Bo typically does, or what he's explained to me, which is buy it with the intention to sell within, ideally 5 years, around where that time is. If the cap rate's correct.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what we're doing now. Is our whole period is normally anywhere from 3 to 7 years at a time.
So he owned the building.
Yeah.
Dad didn't have partners in his deals, so he would hold them as long as he wanted. But when you're raising money in a syndication, which is what they're doing, and what we're doing with Hearthstone and some of the other deals, the people putting their money in with you, they want to know when they're getting it back.
Right.
So it's not just we're just going to hold it and see what it does and enjoy the cash flow from it until we decide it makes sense to sell. When you have investors, your job is to make them money.
Right.
And going in, they want to know, all right, what's our exit plan? And so you need to have one. People don't want to put their money in a deal and know they're not getting it out of there for 20 years.
Right. So you did that, and then just over the years, did another one, bought another one.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, the portfolio would just grow and grow and grow. And then when we decide to sell 1 or 2 or 3, and then we do a 1031 exchange into a larger property. So we might sell 2 or 3 properties together or within a certain time frame and roll all that money up into a larger asset.
Yes. And so you're both doing this, and you have 2 boys.
Yes.
Tell me about your boys, Amy.
We kind of have 3 because Brent's brother, JR, Bo, you might have met him. I'm not sure if he was still living with us when you came, but he moved in with us in his 9th grade year of high school. And that was the year our oldest son, Bryce, was born.
Okay.
So,
I don't remember JR.
Okay.
He's my actually half brother.
Okay.
So all of a sudden we became parents when he moved in with us. My mother and his stepfather passed away within 6 months of each other.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yikes.
So that was a little life-changing moment for Amy and I.
Brent went from the super cool older brother to the guy making the rules, but we have a great relationship with him and his wife now, and they're great, and they love to travel. They just moved, so they live very close to us, which is great because our sons are both in North Carolina. So our oldest son, Bryce, is 23. He graduated from college in May. He actually works for an SBN office in Wilmington, North Carolina. So it's great. He started, I guess, the beginning of his senior year, just doing an internship with the SBN office there, marketing, helping them with build out, that sort of thing. And then when he graduated, he realized, I want to stay here. His girlfriend's there. She loves it there. He wants to make his life there, and he really likes the people that he works with. And so he got his real estate license, and he's doing that. And he's also helping us, on our investment piece too. So learning that part of the business, which is good. So it's great from a parent's standpoint that, I want to talk to my kids every day. Now we get to talk even more than that because we have more reasons to talk to them. Yeah. And then our younger son, Wyatt, is just finishing up his junior year in college. He's in High Point, North Carolina. He just got an internship this summer working for another SBN office with a group that sells nothing but marinas. So he'll be living in Florida for the summer. And he's always both of our kids' jobs all through high school and college was living at the beach or living at home, but working at the beach and renting jet skis and working in marinas and that sort of thing. So he's going to be able to mix that marina life with real estate.
That's amazing.
All right, I got a question about marinas. For years and years and years, I've always used marinas as an example when I was trying to teach somebody about the importance of market velocity or transactional velocity. Like, you don't want to specialize in what I would say is marinas. If you live in Nebraska, there's not any. And if there are a few, maybe on a big lake or something, like, they're not going to transact very often. And so you specialize in marinas, you do one deal every 10 years. Like, you can't live off that. But I had no idea that the opposite of that example actually existed. Like, there's actually an office that specializes in marinas.
Yeah. And he does marinas all over, not just in Florida, where he's based out of. David Kendall is his name, and he's killing it.
Wow.
He's a top producer within the SVN group.
Top producer, David.
And so, he teams up with the SVN network to help him with boots on the ground kind of services that need to be done. And he goes after it. He's very, very, very specialized and does well.
That's intriguing. I wonder what's different about marina deals. I wonder what's unique about it. Maybe you do know.
I don't, but every marina is different. Sometimes it's a marina. Sometimes it's a marina with a restaurant. It's a marina with a restaurant and a hotel.
Oh,
it's a marina with, what do you call it? Mobile home, not a mobile home, but what do you call the?
Like the slips?
Like RV park?
RV park.
RV park, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, RV parks.
Yeah.
So there's so many different components and so many different businesses within those components, but Dave would be the guy to chat with.
We might have to have him on.
We've got an aunt and uncle that lived
in
a marina.
That's right.
They lived on their boat.
Yeah, a sailboat.
In Marina Del Rey.
Yep.
California.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad place to live.
Not at all.
No. Tell us about how your brokerage company has grown, because I remember when I visited that Salisbury, Maryland felt to me a lot like Owensboro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wouldn't I don't know how big it actually is. Maybe just a smidge bigger than here, but
Salisbury, like the steak?
Yes.
Is that where it's from?
No.
Okay. Is that what it's named after?
No.
Okay. What's the origin of Salisbury before we move on, so I don't keep thinking about it? We don't know? Okay. Okay. We can move on then.
But Purdue.
Yes.
Is
Purdue is based there.
The chicken company.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Okay.
Purdue Farms.
Yeah.
They're out of Salisbury.
One of the largest employers in the area.
Oh.
And I've done a couple deals with Purdue.
Okay.
Helping them sell off excess land.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the connection they had through their office.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Here's what I'm really curious about. It's because you say that. It's like, why you got that connection, right? So why was it you helping them sell off the land instead of y'all?
Because the particular property was in Bo's area.
Oh,
so he knows the area the best, or vice versa.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it was their land here in Kentucky, and it was in Livermore. It's like 25 miles south of here.
Yeah.
So, when they looked up, they're like, "Oh, that's in Bo's backyard. We know Bo."
Right.
And it's the network, it's the relationships that because we've got a friendship going back, and
yeah.
So
that's great. That's a good example of the network, like how important the network is, or how beneficial it can be as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we use it all the time. From a brokerage standpoint, property management standpoint, and also the syndication standpoint. So if we buy a property in another market,
yeah,
who do we reach out to?
Right.
Either a CCIM or a SVN office or some other relationship we have there to help us with leasing, boots on the ground, property management,
right,
sales, and the acquisition or disposition of the property.
They took a look at Wesleyan Park Plaza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
And so when he did, they hollered at me. Hey, what about this thing?
Oh yeah, you were talking about Kroger.
Yep.
That's right.
Cool. That's how that works. Anytime I'm looking at, and it's the same way for them, but anytime we consider any kind of property, it lives in a market. You got to learn the market before you can actually understand the property. And if you know somebody in that market, that's your first call.
Right.
Especially if it's somebody you know and trust, and like, man, that's who you're going to call. It's like, tell me.
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to know about this place?
Yeah.
And we use, we do that all the time with brokers. We're concentrating on the investment side in the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic. So if we don't know that market, who knows a market better than that local agent or advisor?
Right.
So, and they get commissions.
Right.
When they sell properties and lease properties. So
and they talk.
Yeah.
Brokers talk.
Brokers talk way more than they should.
Say more.
Well, they're just a great source of information.
Yes.
And what brokers love to do, not all of you, but what they love to do is demonstrate how much they know.
Right.
Oh, you got a question? Oh, baby, I got the answer. Come on. Let me tell you. Let me tell you about this and this. And they'll just flap their gums and download, because they want to often impress the person on the other side. I want you to know how well I know this market and how useful I can be to you. Right. Maybe I can win your business later on, kind of thing. And so brokers are a great source of information because they'll talk.
Yeah.
Some people you call, and you can call an appraiser. It's like, maybe they see the benefits of sharing information and stuff like that. And I've got a couple appraiser relationships where I've really gotten to know these people, and we've got a long history of sharing information. So when I call that guy, he's going to tell me what I need to know. And when I, do a lease or something, he knows that I'll share that information with him, kind of thing. But, a lot of folks aren't going to share with you what they know. They're going to hold it close to the vest. But brokers generally will just
and local property managers as well.
Yeah.
Who knows that property better than the property manager?
That's right.
So, roof leak, HVAC, that swale floods all the time.
Right.
So we always talk to the local managers, property managers, and then the brokers.
Yep.
And the property we purchase.
So you call them up and you're like, hey, Purdue, they're looking to sell some land, and do they want more? Wait, you're trying to sell what they had. I'm trying to work in chicken liver more.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I just jumped to it. There we go. I got it. I heard a laugh from Amy, so we're good. We're good.
Chicken liver. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chicken liver
more.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh boy.
That's true.
Okay. So, but getting back, like when I was there in Salisbury, one, it felt like Owensboro. And then I was so impressed with how big your company was compared to the size of our company in a market of similar size. And I've just always been impressed with what you guys have been able to build there. Because in a lot of ways, like, you drive around Salisbury, Maryland, it was like driving around here when we were kids. Dad was staring at us wherever we went. Our dad put his face on the signs. and he had signs everywhere. He had listings everywhere. And so we couldn't drive anywhere in town without Dad looking at us.
Right.
And it probably kept me out of a little trouble, and you didn't seem to care. But
no, it's why I carry a Sharpie.
But driving around Salisbury, Maryland, it was that kind of, it's like you saw their signs everywhere. And so I've just always been impressed with what you were able to build there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, almost 20 years ago when we joined SVN, I'll never forget it. We had to order 400 signs to replace the old signs from the previous brokerage firm we were with.
Wow.
400. And we did it all in a weekend.
Ooh, wow.
So it was really a team effort. So not only was it all the advisors, but all our employees. We hired all the vendors we can get our hands on because we wanted to have a splash come, that Sunday.
Yeah.
And we hit the front page of the paper.
Wow.
And we were bringing together people from different firms too. So we had our firm, which was just Miller Commercial, but we brought in everyone that was working with Henry in his firm at the time, and they came in as our advisors. So it was this new company, and it brought on, everyone's different signs all then looked the same. And we got really big ones too.
Yes, that's good.
And a lot of those advisors are still with us.
Oh, wow.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, was Wesley one of those?
Great group, yeah.
Back then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And John McClellan, your Purdue guy?
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. John, the other thing that happened when I visited out to Salisbury after I'd forgotten about my shins being on fire.
Yeah.
Was that evening, I think you had a lot of folks over to your place, or maybe it was the evening and night too or whatever. But John, who's the guy who has the Purdue account, who was actually calling me from his office to do these deals and stuff. He brings over, he's got like a home brewery. He makes his own beer.
Yeah.
And he brings over these IPAs, which were, for an IPA, which isn't nearly as good as bourbon. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I remember the IPA that he probably made in his basement or something.
That's
right. Yeah.
It's one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I also remember you talking about when we were there, which was probably 2015, 16, something like that, maybe 2017.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about the idea of a fund.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really understand what even you were talking about back then. But that's a lot of what you're doing now. So tell us a little bit about your fund.
Yeah, so we, when we named the company, Synergy Investment Fund, we're really not a fund like you are at Hearthstone, where we do one-off investments. So we create a new LLC for that particular investment, and then we just work that deal with our investors, and so it's really just one particular property. So we're kind of converting to the Synergy Investments model is our name. So that's kind of what I've been concentrating on the past few years. Obviously SVN is still a big part of our company and what we're doing, the property management business, the janitorial, the maintenance, and also obviously brokerage.
Sure.
So we and Rick Tillman has been promoted to managing director of that.
Shout out Rick.
A lot. Yeah, Rick's doing a great job.
It was actually not my brother, Bo.
Are y'all related?
No, but everyone thinks that he's my brother because my maiden name is the same as his last name.
Well, at least I was wrong with a reason.
But yeah. And a lot of people make that same mistake too. Yeah.
I was always nicer to him because I thought he was your brother. I can't wait to see him next time.
I've been so nice to you.
I've been duped for years.
Goodbye.
Okay. I'm so confused.
So about the last 4 years, you've been moving into focusing on investing.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, throughout my career, I was always investing.
Right.
Where I'd find a deal, and I maybe didn't have the capital to be able to put that deal together, so I'd reach out to the relationships that I've created in our market, and to kind of work a partnership, for lack of a better word, to purchase those properties. So, and we've just kind of grown and grown and grown that over the years, and now we're doing syndications on a larger scale.
So, give us a feel for like what geography do you look at? Because somebody listening may think, "Oh, I've got a deal Brent needs to see."
Right.
Yeah. So, like, tell the listeners, like, what do you look at? What wets your whistle?
Yeah, so we love value add retail is what we're really. It changes from year to year. Our investment criteria we revise every year. We just revised it this year, so it's retail and industrial. Value add we like, but sometimes we'll do the more stabilized properties. It really depends on who our investor is and where they are in that investment piece. Sometimes we have 1031 exchange money, or it's just a regular investor that wants to get into a deal with us. And tertiary and secondary markets in the Southeast is preference. Yeah, our preference. And I really like to describe it as really east of the Mississippi is where we're focusing on, because you have to focus on something.
Right.
You can't just say United States retail. It's just you. So we really narrow down the particular markets that we want to be in.
Yeah.
And then we start canvassing that market, talking to the brokers, communicating with the brokers, reaching out to our network within the SVM, CCIM, CPM. He was a CPM, I'm a CPM. So whatever it may be to be able to get us in this market, to get in front of those sellers and or property owners.
CPM is like CCIM for property management.
Oh, okay.
So that certified property manager?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a designation on the property management side through IRM, which is kind of a sister institute with the CCIM Institute.
Yeah. So thank you for that. So if I'm a broker, right? If I'm a broker here in Owensboro, Kentucky, at what point should I call you?
So anytime you get a deal that you're working on, whether it be on or off market, that fits our criteria.
Yeah.
For example, I was talking to Todd this morning, one of your brokers.
Yeah. Nice.
And we had
producer Todd Humphreys.
There you go. Shout out to Todd.
Yeah.
So we met for the first time and just kind of shared what we're looking for in this market of Kentucky, because we like Kentucky. We were working on some deals in Lexington with Matt Stone. So, that's exactly what we want to do, is kind of get our vision and our philosophy out to those folks.
Right.
So if they bring us a deal, obviously, if it's listed, they get a commission. If it's not listed and the seller won't pay their commission, we'll pay it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they invest with us, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
We welcome that as well.
So I'm a broker and I see a listing comes up for retail, right? That I would, and it's a bit of a fixer-upper. I know I could call you.
Yes.
And you can take a look at it and potentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
We also have an acquisition team, Andrew Robertson in our firm, and then Bryce Miller is starting to assist us on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. What's acquisition?
That's the team that helps you figure out if you want to buy something.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Acquire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're helping source deals for us.
Gotcha.
That work more for synergy, and they also have their broker's license to be able to get paid commissions as well.
Gotcha. So that's one side of it, which is brokers that are calling you up to say, I got a deal, right? And then the other side of it is investors, obviously.
Yeah, and we're reaching out as well to those particular markets, or and sourcing Crexy and all those different websites to find those particular properties.
I wonder if when you're putting a deal together, if it looked like when I used to do this. I'd find the deal, I'd do a quick underwriting of it, and I'd be like, there's potential here. And then I'd see if I could put it under contract. And then I'd start trying to put my group together, the group of investors together. Do you have any, is your process different or more formal? Like, it was kind of like when I saw an opportunity, I would just sort of kick that stuff into gear. And when I didn't see an opportunity, or we were in between deals, I wasn't really spending much time. We were running a brokerage company, and I would just do that until I found something, and then I'd spin all that up, do the deal, and then it would spin back down, and I'd go back to brokerage. Or is it more formal? Like,
so we have a weekly meeting with our synergy group. And during that meeting, we talk about, what's our scorecard? What's the major goal, and how much are we getting to get to that point through that scorecard? And then at the end, it's, okay, what are the deals we're looking at this week? And our goal is to look at 10 deals a week as a team. So, and 10 deals meaning, okay, this kind of fits our criteria high level, and then it goes on to 5 deals a week that we dig deeper on.
Yeah.
And then we do 1 LOI every week.
LOI.
Letter of intent.
Oh, yeah.
So we're making an offer on the property.
Yeah.
So that's actually Brad Arns is the one who brought that through the CRE Investor Coach program that I'm involved with. And that was a good takeaway for me and the group.
So, Amy, he could have just said, yes, it's much more sophisticated. But instead, he had to describe how much more sophisticated his process or your all's process is than what I was.
Well, it's like you said before, brokers like to explain to you how good they are.
How much smarter they are than me. Yeah.
Do you know what I heard?
What'd you hear?
So much value that our podcast is bringing to its listeners.
Yeah.
And my ego wasn't hit at all. So
just mine. And it's my partner in Hearthstone that kind of,
Right. Yeah.
He's never told me those things.
Well, you got to do CRE Investor Coach.
You need to sign up on
Yes.
and send him a check.
That's good.
You might get a discount.
Man, when I did all those videos of him with like Brett Ludwig and a lot of them that basically he's asking them questions about, their experience and what they learned. I was blown away. What they were all saying and how impactful that coaching was.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. It like really simplified what to focus on.
And then the group that's involved with it as well.
Yes.
There's, I call it like a mini mastermind group.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was talking to Brad about CRE Investor Coach yesterday. Mm-hmm. And they're rebuilding the whole thing, like really taking it to the next level.
Nice.
It sounds pretty exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
stuff.
Yeah.
He's asked me to be on, I don't know if it's a podcast or a webinar. I don't know what it is, but I said yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I'm committed.
Yeah.
Good.
And then, one thing I did want to add is too, on the raising the capital side of the business is we always do soft commitments. So we really, I don't want to say invitation only, but we reach out to people that we like, we trust, and we want to do business with. And kind of tell them our story. They have interest, and then tell them our philosophy, our investment philosophy, and what we've done, a little track record history. And then if they're interested, they commit to a soft commit, and it's just, I want to invest this amount of money. And then once we get a deal, then we take it to them and say, okay, here's the deal, here's the location, here's the return.
Yeah.
Are you still in for that? And most of the time they are, or some people say, I want to put in more, or I just bought a RV for $1 million and then that amount of money's gone. So every deal is different, different location, different product type, different return. Some are more risk adverse. And some, it really depends.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned investors and if they're a good fit or not. What makes an investor a good fit? Or maybe it's better to ask the question on the flip side. What qualities in an investor would make you say, you know what, we're probably not a good fit for each other? Don't name names. No, Timmy always wants you to name names. You don't have to name names. I'm just talking about, somebody's listening, like what makes a great investor in a syndication?
Well, the ability to invest, number one.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Okay. Yeah. Has money. Got it. Okay, good.
Is qualified. And then I think it gets back to life is short, and you want to be around people, and I use this all the time, is that people that you like and you trust, and then I add on you want to do business with. So if they fit that for us, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And the relationships that we've created with our investors, they're friends. We go out to dinner. We travel together. I visit them in whatever location they're in. It's
they come paddleboarding with you.
Bo and I have a great relationship. I'm here visiting with him, and we're going to have a good time tonight. And it's great. And I got to hang out with you at lunch.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I haven't said this out loud, but it literally blows me away anytime anybody comes to Owensboro to visit. So like at this point, we've had, Brad, who you referenced, Brad Arns, Rob Powell's come in.
Yep.
Matt Stone and Justin Ryder came in. Yeah. And that one makes a little bit more sense, but that's a 3-hour drive. Like that's a real amount of time. But you know, Maryland.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That you're here. That's very cool. And we appreciate it.
I love it.
It's great to see you.
It's cool to be here.
That almost sounds like I was wrapping up the episode, and that's not what I meant to do.
No, we haven't even pulled out the bourbon yet.
Yeah. You know. When we're trying to profile an investor, what we'll often say is you have to be comfortable with having no responsibility and no authority. I mean, all the things that you describe make a ton of sense, but when I'm trying to help an investor decide, does this make sense for them? Like if they start asking, well, you know, what happens if this? What happens with this? Mm-hmm. What happens? Then I start to think, and if you can't comfortably part with this money for a number of years, like this may not be a great investment vehicle for you, you know? Because if you call me up and say, man, I need my money, like I might be able to pull that off for you, but this is not a very liquid investment. You know, you kind of got to let it ride. And if somebody in the fund doesn't want to buy you out, there's not a whole lot of options for you, you know. You got to be real comfortable. So the folks that I think need control and authority, they're the worst fits because they have none, but they think they do, or they at least want to, and so they call a lot, or you know, like I'd rather save a friendship on the front end and say, look, man, this is not a great.
Yeah, I mean, you have to describe, you know, the general partner and the limited partner roles.
Yeah.
And we're in that general partner role for a reason.
Yeah.
And we've got the track record. We've been doing this for 30 years. You know, if you look at our track record, and I share that with every investor that we do business with, it's all there. So that's the trust factor that I was talking about. You know, and you know, our most of the time, once I go through that presentation, because they're sitting at the table for a reason, they're like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, if I could reword what you were saying, basically,
please.
Yeah, you're looking for passive people who are interested in passively investing, right?
Yeah. For whatever reason, that term just annoys me.
Yeah, why?
I mean, it's true, but it's been used as a trope.
Right.
Like as this, you know, invest. You know, create passive income so you can live the life of leisure that you want. Like the whole, what normally comes after somebody starts talking about passive income is all the stuff I'm like, eh. And real estate's really hardly ever passive.
Right.
Unless you're in a true LP seat.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
no, I understand what you're saying.
It's always more work than anticipated.
Yeah. But most of the time, if somebody is in that ability to be in an LP seat, they would understand that, you know, I think what you're talking about, that trope is for people who are looking to become rich, right? Or wealthy and looking for an easy way to do it rather than I have worked really hard to be in the spot where I can put my money somewhere where it's going to work for me passively.
Yeah. Or the online guru that promises passive income and a life of leisure and a glorious future destiny full of riches.
Right.
That guy drives me nuts.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good marketing, though.
What are some of the fears? Because we've been talking a lot about this at Hearthstone, and I bet you guys probably have too, or this question will at least land for you. Like, what are some of the fears that you think hold people back from investing in commercial real estate that a LP seat solves?
You know, I think one thing with our model that's a little different than Hearthstone or any fund is that every person has a different risk level that they're comfortable with. And to get into the fund, you have to match the full risk profile, where we have, you know, each deal is different and has a little bit, you know, a different tenant mix, a different geography, a different, you know, cap rate, a different everything, and a different risk metric. And so there might be some people that are completely not comfortable with a particular deal, but they might be with a different one. So we keep all of them in the loop so that, you know, they can pick and choose which works best for them. So that fear would be, you know, how much risk are they willing to take?
Yeah.
And I think from a fear standpoint, the limited partner fears that if I'm going to do this deal myself, do I have the expertise, the knowledge, the contacts, the relationships to be able to do this deal? And a lot of times that's a no.
Right.
Or they don't have the time. Whatever it is. There's a lot of multiples that go into that, and you want to invest with people that know what they're doing, right? I mean, the successful.
Yeah.
Like yourself.
Right.
Well, like yourself.
Oh, like y'all selves.
Yeah. Well, I was in this group in Chicago this week, and we were talking about the idea of fear. I forget what the quote was, but it was something along the lines of like your fears are often indicators of your biggest opportunities. I just butchered the quote, but that was kind of the thing. We were having this concept, and they had us write down all the biggest inflection points in our lives. Like you can point to, okay, that changed the course of my life. That decision, that day, and right off the bat, I was able to list 7 of them. Yeah. Like 7 of them just came to mind. Wrote them down, and I went back through there, and fear was involved in 100% of them.
Yeah.
Okay, like I enlisted in the Marine Corps because I was afraid of who I was becoming, and I needed a course correction, and I didn't trust myself to do it myself.
Yeah.
And I figured Marine Corps is pretty good at that thing. Turns out they are. I was afraid, there's like, when we found out we're having our first child, my fear was that he was going to need me to be a much better man than I was that day.
Yeah.
And so like I can point to that as a turning point in my life kind of thing. But fear was involved in every one of those, and actually pushing through fear.
Yeah.
And so, I've just been chewing on that the next couple of days. I think some version of fear is what holds investors back. Yeah. Like they fear that they could lose, they're not willing to take the risk. So that holds them back. They fear that they don't have the skill set, like you mentioned, or they don't have the time or whatever. And really what we do allows them to push through their fear and trust that we know what we're doing, that we have the time, that we have the expertise and the skill set, and they don't need to do it, but they can still invest in a deal and put their money to work in commercial real estate without having to learn all that stuff, without having to go through all the brain damage and the nicks that we've all had, through our careers. And Rob Powell's been preaching that kind of fear holds you back thing. When he was here, he was talking about that too. It still didn't land for me until this week when they made me just sort of look back on my life. Like, what are some of the turning points and how is fear involved?
Yeah.
So now it's like a dashboard indicator.
Yeah, that's right.
Next time I'm afraid, I'm going to treat it differently.
Yeah.
Like, is there an opportunity here, or is that really a rattlesnake that I need to run away from?
Right.
Because fear is very beneficial.
Well, I was going to say the fears that you mentioned are beneficial, in your mind right now, because that's the history you've gotten. You had that fear, you got through it, and you're a better person because of it.
Yeah.
Better father, got through. It's I never thought of it like that, but
I love it.
It's good.
I always heard, or what I believe is there are things in our lives or in our career, whatever it is, that we know we should do, but there's fear involved, right? Or we're a little scared to do it for whatever reason. And that is the thing that you should do to get to the next level, right? And in improv, what we say is follow the fear, right? You got to follow the fear. So when you got that fear, or you don't, when you're scared to get out on stage or step out there, that's exactly when you should step out there.
All right, give me an example of, like, you're in some kind of sketch, some improv sketch.
Yeah.
And where, like, follow the fear actually, how would that actually play out?
So there's 2 people on stage performing a scene, and you've got a few other actors off stage that they can come in at any time, right? And sometimes you are sitting there thinking about what you could be doing rather than listening to what's happening on stage. And when you start having fear that you're not going to be funny or you're not going to be that good, that's the moment you step out into the light. So when you do that, if you're really listening and you're doing that, you're now out of your head and you're in the scene. And beautiful things can come out when you do that. It's hard to describe unless you experience it, right? So a lot of people will get scared and not step out, or they'll step out and they think they're just going to freeze up, which can happen sometimes. And so they don't do it anymore. But the more you step out and the more you follow that fear, the better you get at jumping in.
See, you could be talking about prospecting on the phone.
You'd be talking about anything. Yeah.
I mean, that sounded to me like a coaching session on dialing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Or going on a podcast.
Yeah, or going on a podcast. No. That's great. That is a great point. Both of you had, I mean, there's no telling how many brokers are going to hear this and now know who you are and know who to call when they've got a deal. Just because of coming out here and following that fear. I mean, you both know logically nothing's going to happen to you, right? From going on a podcast, but
well, we've had some gnarly weather here over the last month or so.
But like you've broken the ice, and now Brad has asked you to be a part of a podcast or something similar where you're coming. He's recording you and talking
live,
right? Live. Woo!
Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, sure.
We're actually live right now, so we just didn't tell you.
I'm glad you didn't tell me.
We're not. Unless it is set for live, and I know it.
We've done it before.
Yeah, but, there is something about the energy of a live that is phenomenal.
Well, you wouldn't even know, really, and
yeah,
you could be doing it right now.
Right, that's true. Yeah, it could be.
But if you told me it'd be different, maybe.
Right. But when he says live, is it going to be live virtually, or is there going to be in front of an audience?
I think it's a webinar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, live audience webinar.
Yeah, cool.
Is it?
But there's how the energy is when we are live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about it, and then it's kind of scary, exhilarating, and then afterwards, always, we're like, whoo.
But you guys are pros now, so it's...
Well, like, even when we do webinars, when I was at the Massimo Group, and we were trying to sell tickets to, like, a Massimo Con type event, or if we were... I'd try to recruit coaches using webinars, and we use webinars a lot as a sales tool, whether it's selling programs or whatever. And so I went and took like an online course on how to create a great webinar, And so I had a little bit of a roadmap. But one thing they said is like, you need to be the 10% amped up version of yourself.
Yeah.
Like not 50% to where it's not real. Like you're somebody else, but like you plus 10%. And I'm thinking about, that's what I try to do here on the podcast. I try to speak a little faster because I speak pretty slow normally. And then you go and edit out all the pauses and make me actually sing.
I haven't had to do that as much lately.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's good. But like this is the 10% amped up version of myself.
Yeah.
Try to be. But the suggestion was have a song that gets you jazzed and play it before you go live on the webinar.
Oh, yeah.
So what's your song? What would your song be?
Oh, right
Amy,
now,
I'm coming to you after this, so here's your heads up.
I've got a couple, but one is right now it would be the Pump Me Up song is Wigwam. Do you want to taste it? Do you want to really taste it? What's coming up must come down. It's the theme song, right, to the John Cena. John Cena's in the Suicide Squad. What's his
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah, sorry. But it's very much like Def Leppard style.
Okay.
Yeah, and Wigwam just came out of this obscurity because of James Gunn. I'm about to nerd out, so I'm going to stop.
I'm going to go ahead and just to give Amy a little bit more time to think. What would your song be?
I never thought of it, but I don't know. Rocky.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good one. Good one. Okay, good one. Amy, what do you say?
Thunderstruck, maybe.
Thunderstruck.
Like AC/DC? Thunderstruck?
Oh, that's AC/DC, yeah.
Yes. You want me to play it?
You've been thunderstruck. That was the song that we played at the beginning of Bye Bye Liver.
Okay, I don't need to play it because he just sang it.
That's right.
I would have thought Adele.
A pump up song? Adele?
Well, when she sings it, it's a pump up song. Go ahead, Amy.
I can see it.
No.
I'm going to save you. That's going to give us a copyright strike, so you better not.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome, Amy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, at the time, mine was Lenny Kravitz.
Oh.
Fly Away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fly Away, Lenny Kravitz. And then I think today I'd probably go with a Foo Fighter song. It would almost certainly be a Foo Fighter song.
Do you know what? You want to hear my pump up song?
Oh, you got it?
That is pretty catchy.
Our theme song.
Yeah. There we go. He is pumped up right now. That's right.
I like that idea though, especially when like public speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like it?
No, more people would rather be the person in the casket at a funeral than to speak at that funeral.
Yeah, well, I get that, but like just knowing like you're a genius when it comes to interpersonal just relationship building and like one-on-one or small groups. Like you remind me of my dad in those environments. Like you're just really good. You come out of there with friendships,
Well, thank you.
And it's I don't know if you developed it or if it's just come natural to you or what. Like for me, that's a little bit of a learned skill. I have to make myself do that. Our dad, he would just naturally, just connect with everybody in the room and kind of thing. I'd much rather speak to a crowd, than being a small group. I enjoy the small group kind of interaction or the one-on-one kind of thing, but it's a draining experience for me. But speaking to a crowd is not what's the word?
A drain.
No, it's not a drain, but it's not intimate.
It's not a fear for you.
Oh, it's not intimate.
It's not an intimate kind of, there is a real separation there when you're speaking to a crowd,
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
Amy loves speaking to crowds.
I really don't. But the intimate like relationship building piece of it, that's Brent's superpower for sure.
That's what I should have called it.
Yeah, superpower.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like a superhero.
Yeah.
Dude, when your wife calls out your superpower in front of thousands of listeners.
Yeah.
That's that's a moment, man.
Captain one-on-one.
I might have to bring my wife on the show just to get her to tell our audience what my superpower. I'd feel like $1 million.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I am curious before we do close out because I just looked at. We've been going for a while, y'all. You've been doing great.
Yes.
Hour 15. It's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. Great job.
Been smooth. I've enjoyed it.
Good. But I do want to hear because we haven't talked at all about working together on a business as spouses. And I touched on this at lunch that a lot of what you hear is don't go into business with your spouse. And I don't know if everyone hears that, but that's what I hear all the time is don't do it or how tough it is, how tough it can be on a marriage. And we saw it with, mom and dad did that for a while. Mom talked about it, her fear of going in to work with dad. And then they ended up having separate companies that worked together and stuff. But yeah, what's the secret? Is it actually working? Amy.
Well, they say back to your fear question, right? What is the marriage divorce rate? I know years ago it used to be over 50%. It's maybe more than that now. And more partnerships end in divorce than marriages do. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to go into a business partnership with your spouse. But for us, it worked. And it started small, but I think one of the big things that makes it work for us is that we have very different skill sets, that we're not competing with each other in sometimes we'll go out of our lane a little bit, and we can joke with each other, like, okay, stay in your lane. We need to work towards the end goal. But it's when we're working towards the same goal and we have the same vision, it's
rock solid.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Well, we're running on the same cylinders. Nothing's stopping us.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's special.
Yeah.
It really is. And Amy is amazing. I mean, everybody in the company and everybody that knows her and what she does, and it's really incredible what she does, and to take us to the level that we are, to provide a great place to work and a great culture, and everything is very organized, and it's where I don't have any of that, right? I mean, in the relationship business, I don't anything with a book or numbers. It's Amy.
Yeah.
Well, ever since I've known the two of you, you've seemed rock solid and unstoppable, and then like getting to actually be in your home and stuff, like hospitable, being in your company for those couple of days, like you could tell, and that comes from, I think, what you were just describing, like your very different skill sets applied in an excellent way are incredibly complementary, and they create this culture that, and it was really cool to be there, and
I mean, it says a lot when you talk about the advisors that have been at your company for so long. That wouldn't happen any other way unless it was a company that was being run in an incredible way. And Amy, I got to say, every single time he mentions you, there is a glimmer in his eye.
Yeah.
He lights up. He lights up. And it's really, it's an incredible thing to see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful.
Yeah, you are.
He also paid Timmy $100 to say that. So. It's no less true.
Yeah.
But
it made it easier.
Do you think you could work with your wife?
We could act together. We could work in that capacity. Like, we're not yin yang in this way. Our skills very much are in a similar lane. Mm-hmm. So if we had another person that was, for example, able to handle the books, I think our heads work really well together. I send her every single email. Every time I reached out to a talent agent, for instance, she saw the email. She took the email. She edited it. Took the tone from, "Hey, I'm trying to be an actor. Will you work with me?" to, "Hey, I'm a great actor. We should work together." What about you?
I would love to work with my wife. I think she would hate to work with me. She's incredibly detailed, incredibly organized.
Yeah.
She reminds me of Amy in a lot of ways. Like, everything in our house runs like clockwork. Bills are never late. We're never late as a family. Like, everything is, and I get to live in that space, which frees me up to just think and break things in my mind and try to do. So like, I cause a little bit of chaos behind me on purpose. That's a little bit of why I think I've been effective, is like, I'm pushing on things.
Yeah.
And she wants everything tidy all the time. So like, she gives me the space to really step into what I think are some of my strengths. But if we work together all the time, I basically just make messes, and she wants everything clean all the time. And like, I think I would love it, and I don't think she would.
That's a laugh of understanding.
That's a lot. Clean up after yourself.
I was speaking a little bit more metaphorically, but yeah, there's a little bit of that too.
That's true. Well, we're if there are some brokers out there that are hearing this that are like, "Oh, I got a great deal I could send you," or investors for that matter, where can people contact you? Can they find you?
Yeah, Brent.Miller at synergyinvestmentfund.com. Check us out on the web. And then it's Brent.Miller at svn.com on the brokerage side.
Okay.
So
great.
Yeah.
Say it one more time for the people in the back.
Brent.Miller at synergyinvestmentfund.com.
Great.
Brent.Miller at svn.com.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
It's been wonderful.
You were also, I think we missed one thing.
Oh.
You'll consider east of the Mississippi Is there a south of something else, or is it just east of the Mississippi?
Mid-Atlantic is, I would say, south of the Mason-Dixon line. But, you know, if we find a deal in Texas that makes sense, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends on who it is that's bringing it, what our team is there locally. So, you know, we had a mastermind group just this past week with the SVN folks from all over the country. And, you know, there's a lot of, you know, intelligent people in that group. And if they've got a deal that can fit our needs, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I can trust and want to do business with those folks in that market.
Yeah. If I could say it back to you, well, you all are focused on this particular territory when you're actively
pursuing opportunities.
Thank you. Yeah. When you're actively pursuing. However, if the deal makes sense and it's outside of that territory, you'll go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we've got contacts with that can do financing anywhere in the country.
Nice. Well, that's nice to have.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here in person.
Absolutely.
Amy, it's so great to have you on here as well. Thank you for joining us. And it would have been better if you were here in person, but I get it.
Next time. Next time.
Yeah. It's great to catch up with you, Bo, and Timmy. A nice lunch today, and look forward to more in the future.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll have some dinner and some bourbon, too.
I think that's
baby.
on tap.
Sounds great. And then it sounds like we might have your all sons here at some point. Talk about Marinas.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
Family affair.
That's right. And they just fell into it, right?
Yeah, they did it. They made all the decisions on their own of what they wanted to do in their career.
Yeah.
And Wyatt, you know, he's still young. He's a senior going into senior at High Point University. So he hasn't quite made that decision yet, but he certainly is interested in it.
Yeah.
But sitting around the dinner table over the years talking about deals and commercial real estate, I think it's kind of rubbed off on him a little bit.
Yeah. Sure. How can it not? Dad didn't.
Yeah, our dad didn't.
He didn't.
Really.
Yeah.
Didn't at all.
No.
He left work at work.
Yeah, he left work at work.
That's hard to do.
I agree.
Yeah. Well,
it is hard to do.
But especially when we partner together. So
that's right.
Hey, I didn't get to talk to you today. What about this and that?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, our younger son was taking I guess it was some sort of a finance or accounting class in college. And everyone else, all of his friends, everyone else in the class was failing it. And he had like 100%. And they're like, how do you understand this? He says, how is it not just common knowledge to you? I just heard this at the dinner table, since I was little. So, obviously they were listening a little bit.
I was talking with Brad Arns about this idea yesterday. What makes sense to us, kind of what your son was just saying, like, how is this not common knowledge?
Yeah.
Well, you don't understand sometimes what you just inherently get and why everybody else doesn't get it, And so, like, Dad sometimes just so easily to connect with people, and he doesn't always understand why everybody can't do that because it's just natural to him,
right.
And I think there's a lot of that out there.
Sounds like a great guy.
A lot of brokers.
He is. Yeah.
Never met him.
You'll probably meet him tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
But a lot of brokers struggle with transitioning into investors. But our dad was a broker and an investor.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was the most natural thing. That's what I grew up with. That's what I saw. And so why wouldn't it just be so easy to leave, transaction, commission based. I got to get to the finish line so I can get paid and then move on to the next one. Well, investing is completely different than that. On closing day, you're spending all the money.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going a lot of times into massive amounts of debt, and then you're banking on the future, and then you've got to deliver on the plan.
Right.
So there's a whole lot of execution, and you're betting on the come, and you hope it does.
Yeah.
That's another episode, but yeah.
This is great.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Thank you all for listening. Come back. We'll be here every single Monday. You can follow us on all the social media channels at Commercially Speaking. And we have a newsletter that goes out every single Thursday. Subscribe.wgbarron.com. And if you want a virtual assistant, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. Again, for the people in the back, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. I love it, Brown.
Love you, man.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
You'll say bye to Alice.
Bye, Alice.
I have to.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you all so
Great
much.
time.
Yeah.
Bye, Amy.
I was kind of waiting for Alice to.
Oh, was she here?
No, I don't think so.